Two young girls in the forest are about to be raped by bandits when they are saved by a giant knight in silver armor. Hours previously, the knight, really a gamer from Japan, had awoken in the body of his character, an 8-feet-tall skeleton with the best armor and weapons and all his physical and magical skills. Knowing a skeleton would scare people and make him a target, he decides to keep his helmet on at all times and renames himself Ark, using his game character's name. He spots a female elf in the first city he finds, but she disappears. As he has no money, he attempts to become an adventurer but must earn his license by slaying 3 enemies. In the forest, he slays a bull boar and an orc, and while searching for a third enemy, witnesses bandits attacking a coach. He wonders if he should risk getting involved until he sees 2 young ladies about to be raped and violently kills the bandits. The ladies are the noble Lauren Louvert and her maid Rita. While they recover, Ark covertly loots all the bandits' valuables before escorting them to town. With the bandits and orcs slain, he obtains his license and his first meal. Reasoning that he might be stuck in this new world permanently, Ark decides to have fun beginning his new life. Ark accepts a job protecting a young village girl named Marka as she collects medicinal herbs. Ark is curious about Marka's haste to begin, and Marka explains that she doesn't want her mother Siona, who has become overprotective since Marka's father died, to find out. They come across an injured kitsune which Ark heals. The creature decides it wants to stay with Ark, and he names it Pana for its fluffy tail. Siona learns of Marka's leaving the village just as hunters arrive with news of an extra dangerous monster in the forest. Marka leads Ark to a tree with valuable medicinal flowers, but finds the tree is now the territory of the monster, a basilisk. Fortunately, Ark has fought them before in the game and kills it quickly. However, he asks Marka to keep this a secret for fear of drawing unwanted attention. He notices a magic ring on the basilisk, which shatters and disappears after the monster is killed. He returns Marka to Siona, along with a giant fanged boar for the villagers to feast on, and then departs. Later that night, soldiers kill another basilisk, then come across the much larger corpse of the basilisk Ark killed. They notice it was killed by a single strike with an extremely large sword and wonder who killed it. While back in town, Ark and Panta enjoy a feast. Accepting a job, Ark deals with bandits hiding in a forest cave, taking their treasure as loot. Elsewhere, it is revealed the attack on Lauren Louvert was a failed assassination ordered by Lord Triton Dinto, who was himself ordered by Prince Dakars to destabilize the kingdom in readiness for a war. Triton is also furious that his son, Udalan, is putting himself at risk leading their illegal slave operation. Back in the forest, a female elf watches Ark emerging from the bandit's cave and attacks him, accusing him of kidnapping elf children until she sees Pont, which she recognizes as a forest spirit creature. Since spirit creatures rarely trust mortals, she realizes Ark couldn't be a kidnapper. Ark offers his assistance, but she refuses. Ark follows her and finds the kidnapped elves being tortured by Udalan and his men. The female elf kills most of the slavers, but is forced to surrender when Udalan threatens the children. Ark overpowers Udalan and protects the children, allowing the elf to kill the rest. Ark then frees the captives and magically heals their wounds, to the elf warrior's amazement. Refusing to believe that Ark is a simple adventurer but convinced of his trustworthiness, the elf introduces herself as Arian Glenny's Maple. Arian receives a message that more enslaved elves have been located and hires Ark to help her. Ark and Arian travel to the town of Dinto where they meet Arian's elf comrade Danka, who immediately mistrusts Ark, although he is surprised Ark can use teleportation magic and manage to earn both Pontus and Arian's trust. As their attack on the slavers' warehouse won't be for hours, Ark leaves on personal errands. Arian shares her perceived failure with Danka, as she was almost captured and had to be saved by Ark, and compares herself unfavorably to her older sister Even. Ark buys food for himself and Ponta and hides in a deserted alley so he can remove his helmet to eat. As Ark, Arian and Danka depart on their mission, a shadowy figure watches from a rooftop. In the warehouse, Ark and the 2 elves find that all the slavers have already been expertly assassinated, and Ark is overcome with otaku enthusiasm when the assassin turns out to be a female ninja with cat ears. Seeing Panta, she realizes that Ark is trustworthy and gives him documents she stole naming nobles who have already purchased elf slaves, as well as the location of slaves kept by Lord Triton. Before departing, she also reveals that the elf slaves were not her goal, as her true target is not on the premises. After the trio free the elves, Danka becomes more amazed at Ark's magical skill but trusts him enough to let him and Arian go alone to Triton's palace. The female ninja is surprised that Ark even knew what a ninja was, and hopes to meet him again. After their attempt to silently enter the castle goes somewhat awry, Ark and Arian capture Triton and Udalan, and the 2 female elf slaves take their revenge on Triton while Ark discovers a hidden treasure which he loots for himself. The palace abruptly blows up, which Ark suspects was caused by the ninja. Arian invites Ark to visit the elf lands so they can continue rescuing slaves, although they would need an elder elf's permission for Ark to enter their lands. Afraid of being exposed while meeting the elder, Ark removes his helmet, showing Arian his skull face and telling her his appearance is the result of a curse. Arian promises that all elves will keep his secret and hopes the elder may know how to fix his appearance. In the capital city of Olev, the human king Karlon, his son Sekt and Dacares and daughter Uriana decide to investigate the rumors of slavery, which violates the human-elf peace treaty. They decide to contact the elves, though it is clear both princes have their own hidden agendas. Uriana is certain Dacares is secretly involved in the slave trade and that Sekt has a plan to expose him, thereby strengthening his own claim to the throne. She decides to make sure that contacting the elves goes well and reaches out to her sister Siriarna, who married the ruler of the Limbolt Duchy, the only domain currently trading with the elf lands. Ark and Arian reach Lalatoya, an enormous elf settlement deep in the forest. Ark meets the elder, Dylan, and his wife Glenys, who are also Arian's parents. Dylan is grateful that the slaves were rescued, but worries that their attack on Triton's palace has proved problematic, and he and Arian travel to the elven capital of Maple to inform his fellow elders. Back in Lalatoya, Glenys spars with Ark to see if he is strong enough to keep Arian safe, and Ark is beaten by Glenys multiple times, making him realize that high combat stats do not necessarily equal skill. The elders, unwilling to risk war, decide to continue rescuing slaves in secret. Arian is surprised to learn that her older sister Even is getting married, as she had always sworn to never marry. Ark decides to have a bath, but when Arian enters the bath naked, she sees Ark in full skeleton mode, panics, and blasts him with explosions. Dylan officially hires Ark to help Arian continue freeing slaves, and as payment tells Ark of a magic pool that might cure his skeletal appearance, but which is only found near the Lord Crown, a spirit tree that grows in the territories of Dragon Lords, the most dangerous dragons in the world. Ark accepts the payment, but when alone becomes curious to see if his appearance really is caused by a curse, and is shocked when, using a curse-breaking spell on himself, he gives himself a human right hand. Ark's hand instantly returns to bone, but it confirms that Ark's appearance is indeed cursed. He and Arian set out for Olev, hunting the slave-owning nobles. They are warned by an innkeeper that haunted wolves have been attacking travelers. Uriana leaves Roden to travel to Limbolt. Arian considers hunting the wolves, as a bridal veil made from their tail fur would be an excellent wedding gift for Even. The wolves do attack, and Ark realizes the pack leader is wearing a magic ring like the basilisk. He destroys the ring, waking the pack leader from a trance. The leader then takes his pack and leaves peacefully. Ark is sure the rings are the reason monsters are acting strangely. While Arian prepares the slain wolf's fur, Ponta senses danger and leads Ark to where Uriana's coach has been attacked, and Uriana, her maid Ferna, and her loyal guards have been killed by treacherous guards and assassins. The killers attack him, but Ark's armor proves invulnerable to their weapons and magic, and he kills most of them with unexpected assistance from the wolves. Using a powerful rejuvenation spell, Ark resurrects Uriana, Ferna, and several loyal guards before sneaking away. Seeing Ark while half-conscious, Uriana believes him to be an angel sent by God. Ark is unsure about the morality of a spell that can resurrect the dead and keeps what he did secret from Arian. Reaching Olev, they witness a young woman expertly defeating thugs, and Ark recognizes her as the cat-eared ninja. The ninja, Chiom of the Jinshin clan, is searching for members of her species enslaved by humans and asks Ark how he knows about ninja, since that word was created by their great founder, a human named Hanzo, whom Ark realizes must be another Japanese person who came to this world and founded a ninja clan centuries ago. Chiom asks for their help, and Arian, as Ark's employer, agrees. Dacares is furious the haunted wolves failed to kill Uriana and, suspecting a revenge plot against him, is sent to a safe house by his subordinate Cetrian. Chiom asks Ark and Arian to attack Etset's slave market as obviously as possible, thereby distracting the city guards so that the ninja can infiltrate the other markets. Ark hides his unique armor under a cloak and tribal mask. Chiom introduces Gomen, a fellow ninja, causing Ark to realize Hanzo named himself after Hattori Hanzo and used the names of other famous ninja as honorary titles. As Gomen is a giant as tall and powerfully built as Ark, they instinctively challenge each other, then, realizing that they're evenly matched, become instant friends. Ark and Gomen attack the market guards and compete to outdo each other, but go overboard and accidentally bury themselves under rock as Chiom and the exasperated Arian watch. Learning of the attack, Dacares sends soldiers to protect the slave markets. Arian and Chiom begin freeing slaves while dispatching the guards. Gomen sends Ark to join up with Arian and Chiom while he holds off arriving reinforcements. The Beast People are easily freed, but Ark, Arian, and Chiom also find a cell full of dead slaves killed or left to die for being unsellable as too old, injured, or sick. Ark teleports the survivors to safety, then rejoins Gomen to massacre the soldiers and utterly destroy the market. After the destruction is completed, Ark and Gomen retrieve the dead slaves for a proper funeral, and Chiom swears to hone her skills to save even more people. Cetrian murders Dacares, revealing he was working for Sekt all along, and since Uriana has not been located, Sekt frames Dacares for Uriana's apparent murder, leaving him sole heir to the throne of Roden. Uriana arrives in Limbolt and learns from Siriarna of Dacares' death, realizing Sekt probably plotted her murder as well, and decides to keep her survival a secret for the time being. Chiom reveals to Arian that Dacares was working for the Holy Rivlon Empire and sent them many elf slaves. Arian and Ark decide to travel there immediately. In Rivlon, Emperor Domitianus is impressed that Sect has eliminated both Dacares and Uriarna, but is more surprised someone destroyed the rings he had sent Dacares to that control the wolves and basilisks. His subordinate confirms that Domitianus' agent, Fumba, is continuing to work to destabilize Rodan. In the desert beyond Rodan, a sneering Fumba watches as worm-like monsters erupting from the sands capture and devour flying wyverns. After a rather electrifying encounter with a flock of wyverns, Ark and Arian reach a village on the edge of the desert. Ark notices that Arian is unusually nervous and learns that the slave trade in elves is legal in Rivlon, so she is worried about traveling there. At the village tavern, an elf, Karsi Held, introduces himself and explains that he is able to coexist with the villagers and makes a living studying monsters. He asks for Ark's help in catching difficult monsters, offering a map of Rivlon as payment. Arian struggles with the idea of coexistence, and over a cask of wine that evening in their room, Ark unfortunately discovers that Arian is both a lightweight and a bad drunk. The next morning, Arian is furious to discover that her antics have caused the villagers to think that she and Ark have had sex all night. Karsi plans to capture a sandworm using goblin carcasses as bait, while Arian is still trying to recover from her hangover plus travel motion sickness. Suddenly they are attacked by a worm that has grown far larger than natural, and only Ark is strong enough to defeat it. Another ring is seen on the sandworm, but shatters and disappears after the worm's defeat. Karsi tells Arian that he also once hated humans but grew to care about them, and reveals that Lambert, a town in Rodan, is governed by a human lord and his elven wife, with whom he fell in love after rescuing her from slavery, and Arian becomes more optimistic. The worm's unnatural growth is revealed to be caused by Fumba, who has been feeding them and other monsters slaves and kidnapped villagers on behalf of Emperor Domitianus. Ark, Arian, and Ponta arrive at the border town of Kasek. In order to find the captured elves, they separate, and Ark learns that strange cries have been heard late at night from a fortress to the east and that people have been mysteriously disappearing. On his way to meet up with Arian, Ark rescues a street girl from 3 kidnappers. The failed kidnappers were working for Fumba to collect food for his controlled monsters, and Fumba punishes them by feeding them to his giant white tiger monster. Arian has learned that captured elves had been brought to the fortress 4 months before and insists on investigating the fortress. Sneaking in and finding a secret passageway, they arrive at an underground chamber where they confront Fumba. Suddenly, Arian attacks Ark, bewitched into believing she is training with her sister Even. Ark spots an imp hidden inside Arian's cloak hood, Ponta rips it out and Ark destroys it, freeing Arian from its control. Fumba reveals that he is a Razambanya monster sorcerer who can make monsters obey him. Ark questions him about the elves, but Fumba tells him that most of the elves were used in the Empire's magic experiments while he used the remainder as food for his pet. Enraged, Ark quickly kills the white tiger monster, and Fumba orders his other controlled monsters to attack. Ark is easily able to slay the monsters, but when an ogre attacks the unconscious Arian, Chiom appears and uses her water ninjutsu to overcome it, telling Fumba that the other Jinshin ninja have already dealt with his other monsters. Suddenly the ground begins shaking and Fumba flees, saying his greatest monster has awoken. Ark teleports everyone outside, where they are confronted by a 5-headed Hydra. A Hydra attacks Ark, Arian, and Chiom with its fiery breath, leading Fumba to believe they have been destroyed. Fumba sends the Hydra to destroy Kasek, while a flashback reveals that Fumba's clan elders believed him undisciplined and weak, leading him to take service with Emperor Domitianus. Ark uses his holy shield to protect everyone, and Arian vows to destroy him. They split up, with Arian and Chiom chasing after Fumba while Ark stays behind to deal with the Hydra. Before the Hydra can reach Kasek, Ark summons the infernal demon Ifrit to battle the Hydra. Arian and Chiom catch up with Fumba, and Arian taunts him with his personal weakness. When Fumba is goaded enough to attack her, Chiom attacks him and damages the magical body markings that allow him to control monsters. Arian's fiery sword destroys Fumba's whip and the flames consume him. With the Hydra damaged by Ifrit's attack, Ark flings it into the air and Ifrit destroys it with its flames. Meanwhile, Princess Uriarna meets with Elven Elders Dylan and Lord Fangus, and they agree that the Rodan Kingdom will take responsibility for the crimes against the elves, locate the missing, enslaved elves, and defend elven territories in exchange for the elves backing Uriarna in her bid for succession to the Rodan throne. After learning this news, which means Arian's mission is now officially over, Arian is uneasy and uncertain about the future, but Ark and Chiom reassure her. Sect is disturbed by the news of Uriarna surviving the assassination attempt and successfully negotiating with the elves. Uriarna ponders her own destiny. Domitianus learns about the destruction of Fumba and his monsters. Chiom sees Ark's unhelmeted face for the first time, and Ark decides to continue his travels with his friends. That's the end of the video. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our future video, and leave a like, it really helps the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments.